These delicate white cocoons are fueling a multi-billion-dollar global industry. At first glance, they seem fragile, almost insignificant, spun by tiny caterpillars hidden away in quiet farms. But behind each cocoon lies a story of transformation, where humble silkworms become the foundation of one of the most valuable and sought-after materials on Earth. From ancient empires to today's luxury fashion houses, silk has shaped trade routes, built fortunes, and still drives a powerful economy that most people never see. This is not just farming. It is an intricate system of science, tradition, and global demand, all hidden inside the silkworm's cocoon. Today, we uncover the hidden truth behind the world's largest silkworm farming industry. Silkworm farming, or sericulture, may look simple on the surface, but it is one of the most fascinating and lucrative agricultural industries in the world. And at its core stands China, the global powerhouse of silk production, supplying the vast majority of the world's silk and shaping an industry worth billions. For thousands of years, farmers have raised these tiny creatures on a steady diet of mulberry leaves, transforming fragile cocoons into one of the most luxurious and valuable fabrics known to humanity. In this documentary, we'll uncover the hidden world of sericulture, from the fragile beginnings of the silkworm's life cycle to the immense industrial farms where millions of cocoons are harvested, to the global markets that turn this ancient craft into modern wealth. We'll also take a look into the future, where silk is finding new roles in science, medicine, and technology. Stay with us until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to Megafarm Life for more extraordinary stories from the world's most unusual farms, delivered to you every day. For thousands of years, silk has carried a reputation unlike any other fabric. In ancient China, it was considered a treasure reserved for royalty, a shimmering material that symbolized wealth, power, and refinement. Its value was so extraordinary that it gave birth to one of history's most famous trade routes, the Silk Road, a vast network that connected East and West, moving not just fabric, but also culture, ideas, and entire economies. For rural communities across China, silkworm farming became more than just a livelihood. It was a way of life, passed down through generations, binding families to the rhythms of nature and the cycles of the mulberry tree. Today, the legacy of silk has expanded far beyond tradition. It remains a staple of high fashion, gracing luxury runways and commanding prices that reflect its rarity and craftsmanship. But silk has also entered modern science, where its unique proteins are being studied for use in medicine, from surgical sutures to advanced biomaterials. What began as a symbol of ancient elegance has now evolved into a bridge between history and innovation, proving that the silkworm's gift to humanity is far from finished. At the heart of sericulture is a single species, Bombax mori, the domesticated silkworm that has been raised by humans for thousands of years. Its life begins as a tiny egg, no larger than a pinhead. Within about 10 days, the egg hatches into a delicate larva, a small caterpillar whose only task is to eat. And it eats relentlessly, consuming fresh mulberry leaves day and night, growing to many times its original size in just a few short weeks. Farmers must keep the environment stable, carefully managing temperature, humidity, and hygiene to prevent disease. Even the slightest imbalance can wipe out an entire crop of silkworms. Once the larva reaches its full size, nature's most astonishing transformation begins. The silkworm spins a cocoon, releasing a continuous filament of silk that can stretch hundreds of meters in length. Inside, it prepares to transform into a moth. But for farmers, the cocoon is the treasure, each one a tightly wound package of silk that will soon be harvested. This fragile cycle of birth, feeding, and spinning is the foundation of the entire silk industry, and every cocoon represents both the miracle of biology and the promise of profit. Silkworm farming exists in two very different worlds. In the countryside, families have been raising silkworms for generations in small-scale operations. Inside modest homes, trays of mulberry leaves are laid out for the caterpillars, and every member of the household takes part in feeding, cleaning, and monitoring the delicate worms. It is a labor of patience and tradition, where success depends on the farmer's intimate knowledge of the silkworm's needs. On the other side of the spectrum are vast industrial farms equipped with climate-controlled facilities and automated systems that can raise millions of silkworms at once. Here, technology ensures perfect conditions of temperature and humidity, reducing the risks of disease and dramatically increasing yield. These large-scale operations are capable of producing hundreds of tons of raw silk every year, fueling domestic markets and global exports. China dominates this industry, with provinces like Sichuan leading production, while India follows as the second-largest producer. Together, they account for the majority of the world's supply, contributing to an annual global output of around 200,000 tons of silk. Whether in small village homes or massive factory farms, silkworm rearing remains the backbone of a billion-dollar industry that continues to grow and adapt with the times.
Once the cocoons are ready, timing becomes critical. Farmers must harvest them before the moths inside emerge, because if the cocoon is broken, the silk filament is cut into short strands, losing its value. To preserve the long, continuous fibers, the cocoons are carefully collected and treated with heat, usually by steaming or drying, to stop the metamorphosis and keep the silk intact. From there, the processing journey begins. The cocoons are first sorted by size and quality, then boiled in hot water to soften the natural sericin, a protein that binds the fibers together. Workers or machines then locate the end of each filament and begin the delicate process of reeling, unwinding hundreds of meters of silk from a single cocoon. Several filaments are twisted together, creating threads strong enough for weaving. These threads are wound onto reels, forming the raw silk that will eventually be dyed, woven, and transformed into fabric. Even the byproducts have value. Sericin, the protein removed during boiling, is now used in cosmetics, skincare, and even medical applications thanks to its moisturizing and healing properties. What begins as a fragile cocoon becomes part of a sophisticated chain of production, where nothing goes to waste and every step adds value to the shimmering fabric the world has prized for millennia. Behind the shimmering threads of silk lies an industry driven by both tradition and modern economics. The costs of production begin with mulberry cultivation, the essential food source for silkworms, and extend to labor-intensive care, specialized rearing houses with climate control, and the energy required for processing and spinning. These investments are significant, but the returns are equally remarkable. Because of its rarity and luxury status, silk commands a much higher price than most natural fibers. This premium value fuels a global market estimated at nearly $20 billion, with steady growth projected as demand rises not only from fashion houses, but also from technology and biomedical industries. China and India dominate both production and exports, making them the backbone of the international silk trade. The final products reach far beyond traditional textiles. High-end fashion brands showcase silk on runways across the world, while cosmetic companies extract silk proteins for creams and serums. In laboratories, scientists are developing biomedical materials from silk for sutures, scaffolds, and even advanced implants. What begins in a quiet mulberry grove eventually makes its way to global runways, luxury boutiques, and cutting-edge medical research, showing just how far-reaching this delicate fiber truly is. Silk is not only prized for its beauty, but also for its purity and authenticity, which is why quality control plays a central role in the industry. From the moment cocoons are harvested, each batch undergoes rigorous testing to ensure uniformity, strength, and luster of the fibers. Skilled inspectors and advanced machinery evaluate the fineness of the filament and the natural sheen that distinguishes genuine silk from imitations. In recent years, technology has taken quality assurance even further. DNA analysis and molecular markers are now being used to trace the origin of silk back to specific farms and even specific strains of silkworms. This innovation helps eliminate counterfeits in a market where fake or blended fibers often flood supply chains. The global trend is moving toward fully traceable silk, products that carry a verified history from mulberry field to finished garment. Brands that adopt this transparency can command significantly higher prices, as consumers and luxury houses are willing to pay for authenticity and sustainability. In a world where trust is everything, traceable silk has become both a mark of quality and a powerful marketing tool. The silk industry, despite its beauty and tradition, is not without risks and controversies. Farmers face constant threats from disease outbreaks that can wipe out entire silkworm populations, while climate change brings unpredictable temperatures and humidity levels that disrupt the delicate rearing process. Global price fluctuations also create instability, leaving small-scale farmers vulnerable to sudden losses. Beyond the economic risks, there are ethical questions that the industry can no longer ignore. Conventional silk production requires killing the pupae inside the cocoon to preserve the long, unbroken filament. For many, this raises moral concerns, giving rise to alternatives such as peace silk or ahimsa silk, where moths are allowed to emerge naturally, even though the resulting fibers are shorter and less uniform. Environmental challenges add yet another layer of complexity. Large-scale sericulture consumes significant amounts of water and energy, and the waste from degumming and dyeing can harm local ecosystems if not properly managed. As consumers grow more conscious, the industry finds itself under pressure to balance tradition and luxury with responsibility, transparency, and sustainability. The future of sericulture is being reshaped by science, technology, and shifting consumer demands. Researchers are developing high-yield silkworm breeds designed to produce stronger, more uniform fibers, making the process more efficient and resilient against disease and environmental stress. At the same time, automation is beginning to transform rearing facilities with robotic systems capable of feeding silkworms, monitoring conditions, and streamlining harvest, reducing dependence on labor while ensuring consistency on an industrial scale. Beyond textiles, silk is entering entirely new frontiers. In biomedical research, silk fibrin is being engineered into surgical sutures, wound dressings, and even bioresorbable implants, thanks to its remarkable strength and biocompatibility. Cosmetics companies are tapping into sericin, a natural silk protein, to create premium skincare lines that promise hydration and anti-aging effects. From fashion runways to hospital operating rooms, silk's versatility is expanding its role far beyond tradition. As innovation accelerates, the silk industry is poised not just to survive, but to reinvent itself for the 21st century, an ancient practice merging with cutting-edge science to meet the needs of a global market. From a humble tradition rooted in ancient villages to today's industrial farms powering a multi-billion-dollar global market, Silk has traveled a long and fascinating journey. It has shaped cultures, enriched economies, and now stands at the frontier of biotechnology and medicine. The question remains, do you still see silk only as a symbol of luxury, or could it also be the fabric of the future in science and healthcare? If you've enjoyed uncovering this hidden world, don't forget to subscribe to Mega Farm Life. Here we reveal the most unusual, surprising, and untold stories from farms around the globe. Join us and be the first to discover the next extraordinary chapter in farming.